What's up, guys? You know who it is. It's your boy Kenny with Jdm Muscle, and this is episode
6
S13 Swap. At this point, guys, this video is going to basically consist of putting on the new GK Tech front sway bar so we can clear that LS and the oil pan, and then we need to put the two new knock sensors on, put the new rear main seal, put the new flywheel on, clutch assembly, and mount the T56. That's a lot to do in one video, so without further ado, let's get started.
Current front sway bar. It worked great for the SR. It's easy to put in, especially without the motor in, so this is going to be super easy to take out. We're just going to unattach right here, 2 bolts on each side. That'll be pretty simple, straightforward. Then coming from underneath, we can see right there, we've got 2 more bolts, and then this thing is free. We're going to pull it out. Then we just need to put the new GK Tech big. It's able to clear RBs, JZs, and LSs. So let's start pulling this old thing out.
All right, guys, so removing the front sway bar is extremely easy. I'll try to do it the best I can with everything sitting here. So I was already able to get this bottom bolt off, so we can just kind of work this out of here. Come on. All right, guys, so removing this front sway bar is pretty easy. Now, unfortunately, everybody's is gonna be a little bit different. All right, guys, so removing the front sway bar is extremely easy. It is a bunch of 14 mils. Just gotta get them on there. And we can get it right out. There's one. That's removing it itself. Now, of course, mine's really easy with the motor not being in here, and it helps having tons of angle. So I can basically just turn the wheel all the way and just get right underneath it. So now that we have that off, now we can get the bracket itself off. That's a 14 mil as well on mine. And guys, it is off just like that. I'll stop it a little before, pull this one off by finger, and front sway bar. We have the valley cover off, the old seal. We've got out these old rusted ass knock sensors. It is time to replace and put all the new things on. So let's put the new gasket in place. Then once we have that in place, let's grab the top itself. I was able to clean mine up pretty good. So I did clean it the best that I could, getting everything off. I'm gonna try to get this in place without moving the gasket all too much. All right, with that most of the way in place, I'm gonna start putting in some of the bolts. Now these 10 bolts are gonna be all tightened down to 18 pounds. So I'm just gonna get some started by hand. So once we get all 10 of those in, it's going to be tightened down to 18 foot-pounds. And then once I get those in, the knock sensors themselves are actually tightened down to 15 pounds. So that is spec for both. All right, guys, and we've got to represent, got that new hat Injuku just sent out for us. They are representing and sponsoring this video for us, so Injuku, hell yeah. They are where I get all my swap parts and actually a lot of my parts for my Nissan 240SX as well as my Nissan 350Z. All right, guys, this valley cover does need to be torqued down to 18 foot-pounds. So that is what I'm going to do right now. All right, guys, next step is to install the brand new knock sensors. So let's get these screwed in by hand as far as we can. Then it is important to tighten these down to 15 foot-pounds. And if you remember, these were the 22 mil. So let's tighten them down to spec. And that's it. All right, guys, that's 15 foot-pounds. From here, let's clip them back on. There's one. There's two. And let's feed this back in. Over that, of course, let's make sure to put this back on. We'll tighten down these 410s. It is time to put on that rear main seal now. I do have the Ultra Black Permatex gasket maker. It is oil resistant. A buddy of mine did tell me that it is a good idea to actually apply a little bit in these corners here. Otherwise, you'll have seepage out of where the new gasket will actually not meet. So he did just let me know, just put a little bit and apply that in there so that we don't have any leaks out these corners. I do trust him. He knows what he's doing. He's worked on a lot of LS's, so boy, if he can save me an oil leak. All right, guys, it is time to attach the rear main seal. So let's set it up into place. The gasket is already on. When you order this kit, you actually get everything brand new. So you get the brand new piece, which is pretty sweet, guys. So let's put it up into place. And just like so, we are into place. Now, I was advised to put in the bottom screws first, actually. Just kind of let it sit a little bit better. All right, guys, so with the bottom ones in and getting tightened up, let's start. The new one, the kit comes with all brand new bolts, which is extremely nice. So let's get these started. Gonna kind of bounce around a little bit. That way we can make sure the gasket's sitting correct. Now these are gonna get tightened down to 18 foot-pounds. That is spec from GM. These all down to 18 foot-pounds. It is time to put in the new ARP bolts. Now, I did buy this whole kit from ARP. They are, I mean, some of the best bolts, I guess, when it comes to the industry. So they do come with their own ultra torque fastener assembly lubricant. We are gonna put a little bit just at the base. And then I was advised to put some thread sealant on the lower part of the bolt. basically just Loctite it in. Then we can start to put these brand new bolts in. So I'm going to do that with all 6. So same thing, we'll apply a little of the fastener assembly lube at the base, just to kind of get it to bite. And then same thing, we'll put this down at the bottom. Then I'm going to do that on all 6 guys. And then from here, once all 6 are tight, they do say kind of go in a star pattern at 85 foot-pounds. We're at the step of having to tighten down all 6 of these. Now they make a tool to hold the flywheel in place because these do have to be tightened down 85 foot-pounds. I actually grabbed the girlfriend and this is what I did. Wasn't ideal, but I got a good grasp. I'm actually going to try to switch spots so I can show you what I did. I literally propped myself just like this against as hard as I could, and she actually went around and star patterned all 6 to 85 foot-pounds, and I just held that as much as I could, and it actually worked. We were actually able to tighten all 6, so flywheel's on, tight, 85 foot-pounds, torque to jam. All right, guys, it is now time to install the pilot bearing, so let's get that in. I did put it in the freezer. I did read that putting it in the freezer will actually help shrink it up a little bit to make it easier to get in. So whether it works or not, that's what I did. I don't know, maybe somebody's bullshitting me, who knows. But I did find an Allen basically to sit through. Then we can just kind of, all right guys, so I have been banging on the pilot bearing for a couple minutes now. I found a piece of aluminum that I can stick right here and still have safely enough space for my hand. And I've just been working it in. That's basically what I've been doing, guys. Just trying to get it in a little bit, and I can tell that I am making some progress. And we're almost all the way in. Has taken a little bit of work, but we're getting it. All right, guys, and that feels like it is as flush as it will get. So now let's clean off the surface of this with some parts cleaner, and then let's clean the surface up. Just gonna use a little bit of parts cleaner. Nothing too crazy, just to make sure that this is all clean. No finger residue, nothing crazy on it. That way it can be all ready to go. All right, guys, it is time to install the clutch. Now, they do make something to make sure that you can line this all up. They make a clutch pilot tool. So actually for your clutch bearing or your pilot bearing, they make a tool to actually insert in here to make sure that everything is gonna line up correctly. So all you do is stick it through. Pretty easy, it's a 26 spline. And then once we do that, we can just insert it in, just like that. And guys, it holds it up. Now from here to put the clutch assembly and everything on, what we're gonna do is line it up. You can see there are some already little, I guess we'd say, little nipples or little, let's say little dicks hanging off. But of course, we're gonna be able to set it right over these spots, and we're gonna see where all the 6 bolts go in. And we've got some brand new ARP bolts that we're gonna stick on this brand new clutch. All right, so now that we have this pilot bearing sitting right here, everything's sitting in place, we can lift this up into its spot. Try to do it as easily as possible. Let's see. There's a big bolt hole, there's a big bolt hole. All right, guys, now that we have that up into place, we've still got that pilot hole spline stuck right in there. We've got this balancing on its points. So from here, guys, I did buy some brand new ARP head studs, or some brand new ARP bolts. There is 6 of them we're going to use here. Now it does call for the blue thread locker, so the medium hold. We're just going to add a little blue. Start to insert into the holes. Now I kind of read a bunch of different things. I did see 22 all the way up to 35 foot-pounds. So I think I'm going to play it safe right around that 25 to torque this down. I think that should be perfectly fine. GM says 22 pounds. ARP says 25. So some other sites said 30. I think we're going to be okay either way. All right, guys, let's tighten these all down to spec. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This one I don't think hit yet. All right, guys, that is all of them tightened down to about 27 foot-pounds, just like I said. From here, we can pull out that pilot bearing spline. Now everything is in place, guys, and we are officially done. This is on and on to the next step. All right, guys, so I know it's long past due, but it is finally time to attach the bell housing onto the T56. So what I did, since I'm going to be doing this alone, is I put the T56 up on a block of wood. I'm going to hold this into place where it's going to go. Let's see, right there. And then right there. All right, guys, so I have the bell housing on. From here, I'm just going to start some of the bolts. There's 1 in. All right, guys, at least I have 2 bolts in. From here, I'm gonna put all 8, snug them all the way down, and then I'm gonna work on trying to get this and this mounted together. We're gonna see if I can do it myself. I might have to grab another set. Trying to get everything prepped for the T56 to go into the 240. I have heard and read from the few things I read that some of these ears on the transmission that we will not be using when mounting it into my car, the 240, we can actually cut those off. So I'm actually gonna trim these ears right off the transmission. That way I don't have to bang extra little bits. So guys, just like that, we carved the first one off. I'm gonna smooth that out a little bit, but let's see the piece that I got off. All right guys, doesn't look like much, right? It's maybe an inch tall, but I'll tell you, when it comes to beating that tranny wall, an inch is an inch. All right guys, so I know the next part's gonna seem a little extreme. I did buy a 3-pound hammer from the store. Now I did find one video out of all of them. Now I hope this helps. That once we come in here where we see the first stitch welds in the trans tunnel, if you come up about 4 inches, and then from the 4 inches, 6 inches up, this all needs to be concaved in all the way over to fit the big bell housing of the T56. So I'm not shitting you when I say I've just been sitting here and guys, now I'm just swinging the shit away, trying to push it as much as I can. I'm gonna be honest, the walls of the trans tunnel, instead of this top part, the walls are a lot softer. I'm really able to push these in a lot faster than I am this upper part. So I'm really gonna work on widening it, and then I'm just gonna slowly work on beating it all up until it's about the same height as this, just because that bell housing on the T56 is so big. So guys, I'm not gonna show you an hour of just beating the shit out of this, but I will let you know, I guess, in the end, if anybody needs any help or if I do get this all finished, I'll let you know about how far I think I had to press everything in, but I'm just gonna keep beating the shit out of it. All right guys, as you can see, I've almost got the T56 mounted to the LS, just trying to figure out how exactly I'm gonna do this. I am doing it by myself, so lining this all up and trying to scoot it in has not been the easiest, but none of this has been, especially when you're doing it all by yourself. So what do I need to do? Come up a little bit. Man, having friends would be nice, I guess, but we do all of our shit ourselves most of the time. I think I'm almost there, guys. What I think I'm gonna do is pick up the rear and try to walk it in myself if I can hold it all. She is a little heavy though. Well, I don't know if that's gonna work. Alright guys, besides it's 92 degrees out and I'm dying, we do have the T56 bell housing buckled up to the LS1. Easiest way I was able to do it was put the motor and stuff up on a little bit of wood, use one piece of wood on the bell housing, use the jack to be able to kind of push it forward. I was able to start all the bolts just slowly. I bounced back and forth, zipping them all in, and it was able to hug it all the way up. So from here, guys, I do want to test fit. I did spend a lot of time last night banging out the trans tunnel. I don't think I'm close to make this fit, but I want to see how much more I have to do because my hands, forearms, everything are so wrecked that I can barely pick the 3-pound hammer back up. So let's tighten this all the way down and then see how much more room we need to keep banging out that trans wall. All right, guys, bell housing bolts to the motor are 35 foot-pounds. So let's tighten all these down. As we've got the T56 and LS1 floating in the air, the attempt here is to get it in place, maybe not perfectly, but just to see if we've actually knocked out the inner wall enough. I don't think I have,
but we're gonna test fit it and see what else needs to be cleared.
So let's test fit and see.
How close we really are. Alright, going for slow.
Guys, so what we're doing is slowly walking this in with two people. I'm just sitting on the side. I guess I should have probably showed walking the whole thing in. But what we're doing is, easiest thing with the 240 was having the front end down, back end up. Right now we're just slowly lowering it in, little bits at a time.
All right, guys, so the LS is suspended, T56 is on. Now at this point, I do know it's gonna be a tight fit, so I was recommended that get the driver's side header all the way on, especially since we did have to unhook the drive shaft, or the steering shaft. We did have to unhook the steering shaft. It does have to go between cylinder 3 and 4. That's where it's gonna slip through on the header. I'll show you. But that's the plan, is to get this side on while the motor's free hanging, and then we'll try to get it closer into place. But it does have to go through that spot right there.
Got my brother over. He's going to jump on the far side of the motor and probably pull it over a little bit to give me some room. We're just kind of test fitting the big giant ISR headers, just because it does look extremely hard to get in here. But to work out. I might have to jack the trans up a little bit because I am already hitting. Yeah, but I think I'm gonna have to put the trans up a little bit. Is that as far over?
Yeah. We're all done with it.
All right, guys, so we were able to kind of figure out how to do it. I did have to jack up the trans, but we are able to get this side in, so I'm going to slide it in, and then my brother is going to attempt to do all the bolts for me. So I'm going to slide this in and then try to get out of his way, and then he's going to attempt to put some bolts in. Let's see. Go through that and then grab the gasket with the bolt too.
You want me to do a back one?
Just do whatever ones you think you can make, right?
Oh, hold on. Yep.
Shit, my fault.
Huh?
Did you see what I did? Here you go, watch.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Like,
When you grab the other gasket,
like that.
I didn't know it would make a difference if they were actually shaped. Kind of looks shaped, doesn't it?
Yeah. It should be just like that. No way.
You're right. It doesn't matter, does it? It doesn't actually like this.
Right there. Right?
Yeah. Guys, you can see that beautiful ISR header going on. Hunter's trying to get that last one on, but it's tight.
Yeah.
Had to get my big hand out of there. I'm stuck at this point, so I'm just gonna kind of let it sit. But this is what we've done so far. I did have to remove my coolant reservoir, and I did have to unhook a couple other little brackets that were just getting in the way. But I'll show you real quick before we put everything on. This is kind of how we're sitting. Now Hunter's gonna jump over here. He's gonna be the one holding all the bolts and bolting it on while I just try to hold the headers themselves while we try to slide in this damn gasket.
Hold on. I don't have the gasket. Okay.
Nope, we might have
No, we're
to.
good.
I know it's coming in crooked. Don't do that.
Let's see if we can raise the motor just a bit. All right, guys, so what I found out doing best is just moving it, lifting the tranny up, pulling the tranny over, lifting this up and down. I actually was able to lower the motor down a little, which is actually able to let this sit into place. And now we're able to get all the bolts, so we're gonna get them all tight. Or actually, I might leave them a little loose so this can flex a little bit while we're trying to still walk this in, because we're not quite down to the mounts where the motor needs to sit yet. All right, guys, so both sets of headers are on, left and right. And boy, is it tight. From here, we need to try to get it down to where the motor mounts are. That way we can try to slide in the steering shaft back to where it needs to go. All right, guys, so we've kind of figured out a way of how to do this. Hunter's gonna pull the motor away while I try to slip everything in. We've just kind of maneuvered it back and forth. We were able to get the steering shaft through. Steering shaft is basically in the spot it needs, but now we have to hold this in. Guys, so we were kind of having a little bit of an issue trying to fit this side on. As we looked closer, one of the power steering lines, two of them are going to have to be rerouted. I did unhook one power steering line, move it. That little bit of power steering line that we were bumping into with the header, now we are able to actually get everything squeezed in, and we're able to get all these headers on. Now, with that being said, I am going to have to reroute both those power steering lines because we can't have them leaning against the header or getting hot. So we fixed one issue, but now we have another one to
All right, guys,
so I think this is a perfect spot to end this video. It is another episode done. We are getting close, guys. So it is actually able to sit on the motor mounts by itself. I do have it suspended right now just so I can adjust both motor brackets perfectly. That way they're even on both sides. From here, guys, the only things I have to do is tie down both those motor mounts, do the transmission. That bracket doesn't need to go on the transmission. Drive shaft, put the top part of the motor together, wiring, fuel, oil, and that's it, guys. So I hope you liked this video. I hope that you were actually able to get a lot of knowledge out of it. I know when I was trying to Google a lot of what to do, I couldn't find any of it out there. So I know that this is a long-winded video, but I hope it actually helps some people out. So hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Let me know what you think. Otherwise, peace out, and until next episode.